Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about business agility. What is business agility? Why it is important and why now? So without wasting time, let's dive into the main content.
Let me talk to you about a geologic time period. Nearly all dinosaurs and about three-fourths of Earth's plant and animal species were killed about 66 million years ago during a mass extinction event. The extinction event is associated with the impact of the Chicxulub asteroid. The asteroid impact was so significant enough to mark a new geologic time period. It is estimated that this impact killed more than 75% of all species currently living on Earth. Those species that did survive were forced to rapidly adapt to a much different environment where food, prey, habitats, ecological niches were all vastly different. This adaptation led to many species we see today. Speaking of the extinction, according to Smithsonian Magazine, the impact caused a depletion in oxygen. While the asteroid was detrimental to most, the mass extinction also caused the rapid evolution of new life forms and species that thrived on the reduced oxygen levels. I believe the effects of this asteroid can be a helpful example when it comes to succeeding today. And that is what our topic for today is. So our topic is business agility. Prepare or get blockbustered. So let's get started again. Confucius said many years ago, the green reed which bends in the wind is stronger than the mighty oak which breaks in a storm. There are many companies that were in existence, was thriving, but due to some reason got extinct. These companies are no more there. And we're going to find out the reasons today. According to Carolita Perez and John Quarter, we are going to review how business agility can sell or can save us from the extinction. So let's dive into it again. External factors that impacts the business today. What are those? Some of them are market, media, climate, legal, political, economic, demographic, technology. Political factors like these factors determine the extent to which a government may influence the economy or a certain industry, whereas economic factors are like, these factors are determinants of economy's performance that directly impacts a company or have a resonating long-term impact, right? And if you talk about legal, there are certain laws that affect the business environment in a certain country, right? And there is technological factors are like these factors pertain to innovations in technology that may affect the operations of the industry and the market favorably or unfavorably, right? So these are the external factors that impacts the business. And last but not least, COVID has just did a massive impact to so many business and so many industries today. There are some internal factors also that makes up the internal environment and also impacting the business, right? Such as like value stream, mission and objectives, organizational structure, corporate culture, human resource, unions, physical resources, like value streams like ethical benefits, beliefs that guide the organization in achieving mission or objectives, right? And as far as mission and objective is concerned, there are the overall purpose and reason for its existence, which guides its business decisions and economic activities today. Whereas if we talk about, like, say, unions, like collective bargain power of the employees, that makes up a union, right? And there must be a good relation between the management and union for a smooth functioning of the business organization, right? Physical resources, if you talk about plant, equipment, maybe technological capabilities, which determines the competitive strength. So there are many important internal environmental factors also that impacts the business today. But it is, however, important to note that rapid technological progress, especially unprecedented growth of information technology in recent years, right, has increased the relative importance of intellectual capital and human resources as compared to like physical resources of a company, right? So the businesses that survive and thrive have one thing in common, and that is the ability to be nimble. Right? So, as Confucius said, about the reed, a successful business knows when to bend, when to pivot, when to change to accommodate forces more powerful than itself. Right? And to do so requires business agility, which is a topic for today. So, what is business agility? It can be used to adjust to internal changes, but also changes internally in the business itself. External changes, but also changes internally in the business itself. That is we call a business agility. So let's define the business agility. It is an ability of a business system to rapidly respond to change by adapting its initial stable configuration. Right? There are 5 technology revolutions that happened in 250 years. And now I'm going to quote here Carolina Perez's work here. Now, what she said, in order to understand what business agility is, we want to go through and find it out. What were this technological revolution that happened in the past and how an organization comes into the existence? These 2 paradigms will help us understand what business agility is. Right? So there are 5 technology revolutions that happened in the last 250 years, starting with Industrial Revolution, and then after that it was a rail age, after that it was the age of heavy engineering, and then there was automobile and mass productions, and last but not least, but Information Revolution, Information and Technological Revolution that we have today. We call it the IC, Information, Communication and Technological Revolution that happens today, right? So let's dive into a little bit more detail. These are the disruptive trend that happens at every generation, right? So we can go and find it out what in the Dynamics of Bubbles and Golden Ages book of Carolina Perez she talks about. She talks about that in 1771 there was a first revolution that happened, was Industrial Revolution, right? That was like an age of machines, factories, canals, right? And those at that time, canals were this internet. Is compared to today. What internet is today, it was canals during that time. Then after that, in 1822, that was a rail age, the age of steam engine, coal, iron, railways. And then there was like an age of heavy engineering. It's an age of steel, electrical, chemical, civil, naval engineering. And then in 1908, it was like an automobile and mass production. As was the age of like oil, plastic, mass production, anywhere you see, and we can see that impact of it today also. And then after that, in 1970s, 71, it came like information technological revolution, and that information revolution brought about the age of information technology and telecommunication. Right? So these are the 5 revolutions that has happened in recent 250 years. And if we go and deep dive into it and find it out how exactly those revolutions happen, and then we will find it out the disruptive trend that happened and how some of the organizations survived, some of did not. So let's find it out more details about. Each and every revolution had 3 parts in common. First, the first part of that revolution was installation period, and during the installation period, new company comes into existence, new technology comes into the existence, and there was a turning point for all of those revolutions. Each turning point brought up 2 choices for the existing companies: either they master the technology or they decline the technology, and those who decline the technology gets blockbustered. And after that, those who have mastered that technology enjoys the fruit of during the deployment period of that revolution. So let's find it out in those 5 revolutions, what was the installation period, what was the turning point, and what was the deployment, right? So So let's find it out, the installation period, right? For industrial revolution in 1771, the installation period was the canal mania. Everywhere you can see in UK, lots of canals came into existence, right? But then there was a turning point, and that turning point, as I told you, that existing businesses master the new technology or they decline the technology, right? So in that sense, during that particular revolution, industrial revolution, those companies who mastered that technology were able to enjoy the fruits during the deployment period. That was Great British Leap, that period. After that, rail age came into existence in 1829. Railway mania was the installation period. There was a short turning point, and then Victoria boom, right? So if you see that, over the past 2 decades also, similar thing is happening. Let's go before that, age of heavy engineering also. Global market infrastructure data was the installation period for during that revolution. And there was a little 5 years of turning point, and after that there was a Belle Epoch in Europe and the progressive era in USA. That was the first global revolution that happened, right? And then there was an automobile and a mass production. That was the second global revolution that happened over UK as well as USA and many other countries. The Roaring 20s, as if you know, was the installation period. But at that time, the turning point was a little larger. Why? Because of those two big world wars, right? And then after post-war golden age, that was a deployment period for that particular revolution, right? And that went up to 1974. But during that time, information communication technology revolution, the dot-com boom, everything came into existence, right? But then we were talking about what is a turning point, and that's where the catch is. The turning point, we are still in that turning point. Right. So what's clear, that we are still in a turning point. We have not yet went into the deployment period, and if you see, we have got some turning point there. Those who did not master the did not master the internet technology were vanished. If you see, we saw that example earlier, but recently we just saw that in a turning point. 2008, there was a dot-com crisis that happened, right? Similarly, right now there is another pandemic that we are facing due to COVID-19, since we are still in 2020. But we will definitely be coming into the deployment period, and there are many new technology came into existence during this particular revolution, ICT revolution, and those who are mastering will definitely survive and definitely will be able to enjoy the deployment period for sure. So right now we don't know when the turning point will end and when the deployment period will end, right? So this is a time of uncertainty. But before I go to time of uncertainty, I just wanted to give an example that just as Walmart disrupted other retailers by mastering the methods of age of mass production, Amazon is now doing the same to Walmart and other retailers by disrupting the supply chain and seeing a nearly identical market share growth profile, isn't it? So what's clear from these trends is that the companies that achieved even a small and early age on applying the software to consumer experiences and logistics have won seemingly like insuperable edge over the rest of the industry, right? And if you talk about the government sector, if you are the viewer from the government sector, we have already seen multiple waves of collaboration technology within the age of software. Like it's ranging from the email to instant messaging to teleconferencing and digital assistance, right? It is happening in now every sector. The pace appears to be increasing. Companies and government departments that have harnessed the software innovation are the winners. Definitely they are the winners, leaving those who fall behind to decline or get blockbustered. That is for sure. Yes, this is the time of uncertainty, and in this time of uncertainty, people in every country and in almost all walks of life feel uncertain. They feel uncertain about their individual future, about the future of their place of work, about the prospects of their country, and about the prospects of world as a whole. And this applies to business also. Businesses are also uncertain, right? So during this time of uncertainty, what is the real problem? Why it is happening? I said it earlier also, organization realizing that they need to transform. Do you think this is a problem? No. That is not the problem. But the organizations are using the managerial frameworks and infrastructure models from the past revolution. Those revolutions that I was talking about, before the ICT revolution, there were 4 revolutions, right? So they're using the managerial frameworks and infrastructure models from the past revolution to manage their businesses in the current new ICT revolution. And that is the problem. And that is from the Mike Kirsten. He says in the book Project, if you read from Project to Product book, right? So how success, in order to understand that, okay, hey, I am a business owner, I want to find it out how exactly I could survive, or I am in a big organization and how my organization would survive, or I am in government, how I will be able to cope up with the increasing demand from the community as a whole. So how successful enterprise start, if we see into the roots of it, that how a new organization or successful enterprise start, we'll be able to figure out where we could make change in order to be nimble, right? In order to be responsive to the changes. So let's find it out how successful enterprises start. So any organization starts from an idea that I want to solve this customer problem or that customer problem. So it starts with the customer centricity in mind, in the mind of that entrepreneur, or if that enterprises is starting off some other enterprises, group of people meet together, if they have the same idea to support or to solve some client or customers problems, and they come up with, just like Uber came into existence, just like Airbnb came into, they see some of the problems in the industry and they come up with a solution. So they start with customer centricity, and then people get around it, and it just forms a network of like-minded people, and they do the similar activities together, and then soon you will find out that that organization has a big network of like-minded people doing like activities, and then they do some people, marketing people, the group they create, just like in a constellation. There is like a center planet, and around there's some plus sub-planets, and sub-planets have some of the satellites around it. It's just like a network of people working together, right? How does that network form? It's with the help of network of comprised of the volunteers, right? And then it drawn from the range of levels and this and divisions within the organization, right? Upper management, and then the middle management, and the lower management, or lower part of the organization. The people come from any level, right? And then what their target is the customer needs that founders understand are at the center. That is their target, and that is what their center of their working. And others are at various nodes. They are working on different initiatives within an organization, right? And then how are their actions? Their actions are always opportunity seeking, and another is like the risk taking. But everything is guided by the vision that the people buy into. The vision is important. And last but not least, energized individuals, right? Who are they move quickly and with the agility. That's how the successful enterprise start. Everything is fluid. Everything is just like, there is a lot of autonomy you will see, but there is a lot of speed, a lot of progress that you see, innovation that you could see. That's how the organization start. But then later on, what happens? Then what they evolve into an enterprise that is structured as a hierarchy. It's driven by well-known managerial processes that can produce incredibly reliable and efficient results, right? One of the most amazing innovation that happened in the 20th century into the past revolution, right? That mass production revolution, that was this hierarchy. They are still necessary to make organization work, right? So now we have network, and now it turned into the hierarchy, right? Now what happens? Anything that new changes come, then there will be changes needed into either hierarchy or a network. But if you see the changes that are coming recently, since past revolution till today, these changes are they're exponential increase, and the rate of change that has huge strategic implications. Now, do you think that hierarchy will be able to cope up with this exponential increase in rate of change? Right? Now, gain more market share. What will happen? You need to have the more market share, right? So people try to use that hierarchy and they add people here, add people there, and then hierarchy just grows. They put some people task force here, they add here, because now there is growth in demand. So they say, okay, let's put people in this department, some people in this department, right? But then the hierarchy must assume the responsibility of the larger business too. So what Professor Cotter argues that established hierarchical managerial structures do not provide the agility for the organization to respond sufficiently quickly, right, to take advantage of the narrow windows of opportunity that presents themselves. The hierarchy has authority of current revenues, right, and profitability needs behind it. They have to sustain, right? So they have to just follow that. Do we have the current revenue? Do we have the sustainability of the current revenue and profitability needs that we have, because we have to pay everyone, right? And we have to gain the market share at the same time. But it fails to keep up with the fast moving and more adaptive network. Right? It works up to a certain point, and then it starts to hit a wall. And we'll see soon, like it slows down, stops, doesn't get job done, and that is exactly where it begins to conflict an entrepreneurial network, right? So let's see. So soon you will see that there is a cultural pushback that comes from the hierarchy people, lower or middle level management or the staff. There is internal politics that happen. There is a silo that happens. There is anxiety that happens, fear, lot of things that happens that is not in control, which was not there in earlier network, because everyone working was with the autonomy. Everyone working, they had a customer centricity in mind. But here, no, my job security is in the center. No, my our silo, or we will not give our resources to your department. That constant stretch that happens among the departments. So what happens though? Ultimately, the result is the network gets impacted, right? All those areas through which the network came into existence, the network got crushed, and the customer centricity is the first and foremost victim. Customer centricity, when customer centricity is mixed, is a victim, what would happen? The organization will vanish, right? So it can't accelerate. As I say, that rate of change is so exponential, and this hierarchy can't put up with the rate of change so that they can succeed. So now they hit the wall, and in order for that to accelerate, right? So if you read the book of Accelerate from John Cotter, he says that the Harvard Business School professor John Cotter has, he is from Harvard School, and he is arguing in that book that established hierarchical managerial structure do not provide for the organization to respond sufficiently quickly to take advantage of the narrow windows, that opportunity that present themselves. And what Cotter says that his solution is that the firm should reorganize themselves to be able to cope up with the demand of an increasingly changing market and changing world. Firms should augment their hierarchical, structure with the network comprised of the volunteers drawn from the range of levels and divisions within the organizations. From here, you select them and form a network, right? Thus, the firm would have a dual operating system, not just network, not just hierarchy, a dual operating system, and with the hierarchical structure providing day-to-day reliable management, efficiency, stability, whereas the network will provide the agile strategic leadership. Lean, agile strategic leadership. So Cotter believes that this structure existed in most firms at much earlier stage, as we just saw earlier, right? But then it just vanished. So he says that there has to be a dual operating system. There are benefits of hierarchy, there are benefits of network. So you need to have in current, there is a high demand of having a dual operating system that can provide a speed of innovation, at the same time efficiency and stability of the hierarchy. And that something new is a dual operating system, right? So what is the dual operating system, and how do we create such a dual operating system, right? So by organizing the second operating system around the value streams rather than departmental, instead of the department. So you have to organize the second operating system around the value streams. So now you might question, what is the value streams, right? So value stream are all activities that required to perform, right, to transform a customer request into a good or service. Any activity that, market research, marketing, development, testing, implementation, IT, DevOps, anything that you have to do in order to transform a customer request into a good or service, and beyond to cash received from the customer. So a value stream always begins and ends with a customer. That is a value stream, all the activities. And now he says you have to organize your second operating system around this value stream. So a value stream is a primary construct for understanding, organizing, and delivering value in SAFe. Each value stream is a long-lived series of steps used to create value. And a trigger starts the flow of value, and there is some form of monetization or value delivered at the end. And that is provided by one of the frameworks. There are many frameworks available in the market that can provide the business agility. To name two of them, one is a scaled agile framework, and another one is disciplined agile delivery that PMI is bringing, right? So we're going to talk about the scale agile framework and disciplined agile delivery later on in the upcoming videos, but today we're going to just briefly touch on how the SAFe brings a dual operating system in organization so that organization could strive and thrive into the existing economy, right? So SAFe 5 offers a way for enterprises to focus on four things: customer, products, innovation, and growth, right? So that's where SAFe brings up value to any organization, and SAFe brings value by bringing these competencies in an organization. And in order organization to sustain and thrive in current environment, they have to have these competencies. It's not just the SAFe competencies. The competencies are generally it's needed, So those competencies are what? Team and technical agility must be there. Agile product delivery. You need to have the agile product delivery, and agile product delivery by in the value of short iterations, right? And enterprise solution delivery needs to be established. And another competence is lean and portfolio management. That also needs to be in alignment. Organization agility also needs to be there. Not just IT agility, not just that IT team agility, not just a DevOps agility. You need to have other organization environments buy into it. And that should be a continuous learning culture. And last but not least, there has to be lean and agile leadership. Why I'm saying all this part of the organization needs to be in alignment? Just because, just think of that you have a very nice car, but car is a very nice engine, up to date and nice engine, but very, very, very rusty and bad the body of the car. Do you think the car would win a race? No. In order to, let's talk about the overall, Formula race engine. So the Formula race, in order for that the race organization to conduct a successful race, they not only need a good engine in the car. All car should have good engine. All car must have nice body. All car must have their troops. They are well trained, and at the same time their marketing needs to be there so that they can get the revenue by allowing people to compete, at the same time allowing people to come and watch those races. So all the organization area needs to be in alignment in order for that formula race to successful, right? So what I am trying to tell here is that an organization agility is needed and business agility is needed, and merely by saying, oh, we are doing agile in our IT for that project, and that project is not going to help, not going to cut. You need to have all other organizational areas within your organization buy into it and have some of these competencies. And SAFe 5 is built upon 10 immutable principles, and that works on most of the organization, most of the trying conditions, especially when the change are exponentially high. So I want to end by referring back to 5 examples that company that didn't evolve, quickly enough to survive. The main takeaway from this presentation is that the companies I have highlighted did not die because of the new technology was created. They died because they ignored the warning signs. And this is your warning sign. Are you ready to adapt? Are you ready to learn more about what business agility is, right? And have a read-like behavior so that you can sustain the winds are mightier than yourself, mightier than what you see. So with that said, I would like to conclude today's video, wishing you very happy New Year 2021.
So now you know what business agility is, why it is important, and why now. Thank you for watching the video.